Hi, Joshua. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. I really appreciate you joining us.
Happy to be here. It's a podcast, but we're on video.
Yeah, a bit of both. So it's YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So,
Fancy.
Josh, thank for I'm a big fan, but for people who don't know you or might not know you, do you mind just introducing who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Joshua Seth, best known as the voice of Ty on Digimon for the past 24 years, from the series and the movie all the way through all 8 movies, and some upcoming projects that I can't tell you about. But
Hmm.
I also voiced a lot of other stuff too. I started with, for all intents and purposes, as Alpha 5 in Power Rangers Turbo. I was the second voice actor to do that. Tetsuo and Akira, Hige and Wolf's Rain, Shobu and Duel Masters, Young Knives and Trigun, and Joe slash Nine in Cyborg Soldier 9, and about 100 other things.
Of course. I was scrolling through everything, and you've done so much. It's quite incredible. Um, so we always start off with your best dad joke, Josh. So, do you have any dad
Oh,
jokes? Obviously, you're a dad.
of course, I am a dad. I have 2 kids, and yeah, I love the dad jokes. So here goes my best dad joke. What's the difference between jelly and jam?
What?
You can't jelly a bunch of clowns into a tiny car.
That's perfect. And you have the little drum snare. That's awesome.
That's right. Yes, and the children applauding I
That's
come prepared.
amazing. You're very prepared. My goodness, is that your home studio you have there, by the way?
Well, what you're seeing is a green screen. My home studio is actually on the opposite side of my video studio. I have a video studio which I'm in, and an imaginary studio behind me, and in front of me, what you cannot see is my recording studio. Yeah.
Wow, that green screen's very good. That's very
It's
good.
all lighting. It's all lighting. Yeah.
Okay, so
An illusion.
yeah, heck yeah. So do you watch anime yourself, Josh?
No.
No,
End of the interview. I don't watch anything. I'm a dad. I'm Mr. Mom during the week, and I'm off at Comic Con signing things for the fans on the weekends.
of course.
So I have no time. I have no time. And I had hippie parents that didn't want us watching television at all when we were kids. And so, of course, I became a voice on cartoons. But that's sort of been a lifelong habit, is not to actually watch a lot of TV. Also, I have this philosophy that you're either a creator or a consumer,
Hmm.
and it's hard to be both. It's hard to have a lot of creative output if you're always watching and listening and, taking things in, because there's limited time.
That's very true.
I haven't
And
even watched all the things I'm on.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, it'll take so long. You've watched. I mean, you've done so many incredible things. um, and
Maybe when
and
I'm old and infirm and bedridden, I'll be like, and now I'm finally going to watch what I voiced as a young man.
and just check it on the TV. I like that. That
Yeah.
works. Do you have some
Well,
cool memorabilia from what you've done?
actually, yes, because fans keep giving it to me. And
Hmm.
of course, it's not here, it's on the other side of the room. But yeah, I do have some really cool Akira. I love Akira. I will say I was a fan of Akira even before I voiced Tetsuo in the Pioneer dub,
Hmm.
because I was lucky enough to see the original theatrical release of it here in America when I was in film school, and that was the first anime I'd ever seen. It blew my mind, and so yeah, I don't really collect anything, but I do keep all of the stuff that people have brought me over the years,
Of
and
course.
especially the Akira stuff I love.
That's great. That's
And
great.
for all you listeners and viewers out there that think you're fans of anime, if you've not watched Akira, you're missing a foundational building block, because there wouldn't be cyberpunk anime at all if not for Akira, and
Hmm.
it would not have crossed over into the mainstream here in America without Akira. That
Of
was
course.
that was the groundbreaking anime that allowed people to realize that, hey, cartoons aren't just for kids, and this is
Hmm.
an art form.
Very true. And such uh, a, an incredibly done movie as well. Just so beautiful and well done. Um, Now, what do your kids think of you voicing these incredible characters?
Well, my kids would. What my son doesn't care. He's an electronic. He's 11. Sorry, he just turned 12,
Hmm.
and he actually is an electronic musician and just likes music.
Right.
And he's very like me. He's very auditory. Actually, anybody can stream his music anywhere in the world. We put out his first album last year. His name's Tiger Seth.
Hmm.
Tiger like an actual tiger. So just look up Tiger Seth. It's excellent, I think, EDM electronic music. And we're
Cool.
working on his second album now, which is all like music for video games. That's kind of what he wants to do. My daughter, however, Nikita, who just turned 10 yesterday, she always wanted me to be in something new. And I retired from voice acting years ago to go on tour with my live show, only going back every year, flying back to LA voice tie on whatever new Digimon movie we were working on, but I wasn't auditioning for anything new. The whole reason I came back to voice acting last year is because of her wanting me to be on new stuff and her wanting to be a voice actor herself. And she actually just signed with a big voiceover agent in LA last month. So a few years from now, I just anticipate she will be bigger than me and signing at Comic Con is right alongside me.
That's incredible. Wow. So they
Yeah.
both they both are very creative people, obviously, and they
Oh,
look up to you
definitely.
so much that they follow in your footsteps. That is so cool.
Yes, every parent's dream. And good kids. But I do send them to an arts school, so they have that opportunity to learn dance and music and drawing and self-expression through the arts and education through the arts. I think is really important. And at least here in America, it is not often taught. It was eliminated over the years as budget constraints
Hmm.
caused curriculums to coalesce around just the fundamentals of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and then they stopped teaching things like band and orchestra, for instance. And I started, as with most voice actors, singing, through music, and that's how we learn to use our voices properly. So, without that, maybe you have an interesting voice, but it's limited in range in terms of what you're able to get out of it.
Of course. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, that's a really good segue into. So you started with singing, and then how did you get into anime?
Yeah. Well, I was a stage actor. I did 8 shows a week for 10 years in equity musical touring Broadway productions, basically.
Hmm.
When they would leave New York and go on tour, one of the first stops they'd make would be at this theater, which was near where I lived in Ohio in the Midwest. I'm assuming, being that you are on the other side of the earth, you don't necessarily know these places, but where I grew up is like a small college town. Um, not by any means in New York, but it was one of those places that the Broadway casts would go to sort of hone the touring version of the show.
Hmm.
And I was a constant hire for 10 years as the local kid in all of these touring productions because they wouldn't tour with the kids. And so I got to do musical theater on a professional level for hundreds of paying guests every night for 10 years, and that's where I learned to sing, and that's where I learned to perform. And then I went to film school at NYU in New York City, and I had a radio show there because my dad was a radio psychologist, so I was also familiar with radio and microphones and things. And then I used that radio show to create the demo that I sent out to an agent out in LA and got an agent. And then right after I graduated, moved out and thought, I have an agent in LA. I'm going to be a voice actor. And then it was like 7 years before I was able to really pay the bills with it and do it consistently. And that's all thanks to Digimon. Before Digimon, it would just be like a guest spot on Rugrats, a guest spot on Hey Arnold.
Hmm.
I did one season on Power Rangers. Like, it was just little things here and there. And I was really making my living as a magician. And then Digimon came, and then I worked nonstop until I just decided to leave and go out on tour. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And now that
Wow.
everything is remotely recorded, I can do both from here,
Of
from home.
course. Of course. That's really, really cool. And and being it's a good time to move into that. So I mean, I saw you were a mentalist, and like you just said, you were a magician. Um, now, uh, I don't know a tremendous amount about it, but it looks like it's an incredible philosophy and an incredible, especially being a mentalist. You must have such a good read of people and understanding of people. And I was a little bit nervous because I'm like, okay, you're gonna tell my tics, you're gonna tell you're gonna know what I'm thinking. Um, you
So
still
I
do a lot of
see.
that?
I do, but I'm thrown off a bit with you because listening to you, I keep thinking I'm talking to the manager from the Flight of the Concords. So I'm seeing you, but I'm thinking I'm hearing him,
Right.
which is a funny show for anybody that's listening and
I
hasn't
love
seen
it.
it.
I,
Yeah, I mean, it's mentalism's a little bit, it's a dash of magic and a lot of psychology and
hmm
reading body language and using psychological principles to influence behavior in an amazing way. So I love doing that show, and I perform it whenever I can. Not as much since the pandemic, but prior to that, I toured all over the world and did shows. I did a show at the Wellington Opera House in New Zealand, in your very own country.
nice. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I did a
awesome.
few,
And did you liked
few
Wellington?
shows there. I love Wellington.
Mm.
Yeah, that would be a great place to escape to if I were ever on the run. I would wait, scratch that. Now they'll know where I'm going. Yeah, it's
Actually,
because
yeah.
it's got everything except it's very windy.
It is very windy, but a lot of people. I mean, when the pandemic started, I remember seeing news articles of people coming over, getting in their
Me too.
bunkers, and
Yeah.
in New Zealand. So it is a good place to escape to for sure.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of escaped.
They
I'm
got
off.
great coffee.
Yeah,
It's a good like coffee and read a book kind of a place to go.
it is. It truly is. You know, the harbour there. So you went to Wellington. You obviously went to Auckland. Did you travel much around the
Of
North
course.
Island?
Actually, yeah. So one of those Comic Cons I did, probably the first one, this was in the early 2000s. I actually stayed an extra week afterwards and did a reality TV show, which if you could find it, I'd be very grateful because I'd never seen it. It was the superheroes, the American superheroes against the Kiwi kids. That was the premise. And for a week, they took us around the North Island in a limo. And every day we would stop off and do an activity that they would film. And it was all like like all reality TV, it was a setup. So one of us voice actors, we would always get offed, thrown off every day. And the Kiwi kids would be victorious. So like one day I got to shear a sheep at the Agrodome. Another day, I went bungee jumping off the bridge where AJ Hackett invented bungee jumping, and I thought I
Wow.
was going to die and I didn't want to do it. But Dan Green from Yu Gi Oh! Was also in that TV show. And it's on camera and live, you know, it's not voice. Like it was us as people doing this. And he very bravely was like, "This is Dan Green from Yu Gi Oh! Yahoo!" And he jumps off. And then I get up there and I look down over the bridge and I'm like, no, I don't want to die. But I know if I don't do it, they're just gonna make all kinds of bloopers and outtakes and make me look like an idiot. So for vanity's sake, I took the plunge and I never bungee jumped again. We we did a chocolate eating competition somewhere where they make chocolate in New Zealand. It was fantastic until the point at
Wow.
which I crossed over and wanted to throw it all up. And because it was a competition, right?
Yeah, yeah. Who
I went,
won?
I went, I went. I can't remember. It was
Yeah,
some
yeah.
Kiwi kid. That's what they realized. Like the superheroes against the Kiwi kids, and the Kiwi kids win because the kids, of course, should win. We went like caving at
Mm-hmm.
Rotorua.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember the names. It was the best excursion of my life. Was caving like a mile under the earth or whatever you would call that, a kilometer or something, and and it went for hours. And then we popped out, and when we popped out in the countryside, it was these rolling hills and these like mastodons or woolly mammoths, like giant animals that you think no longer roam the earth, but there they are.
Wow.
And yeah, it was fast. I saw penguins. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
That's so
Different day.
cool. That sounds
Yeah.
incredible.
So
What was it called?
find this show. Okay, it was me and Dan Green, and I can't remember who else. And that's it. And one of your listeners, please find that and tag me because I would
Heck
like to see it.
yeah. I'd love
Because
to
it
see
was
it
like
too.
it was before social media really, and so we weren't able to figure out what it was when it came out.
That is so
on
cool.
the telly.
I'll check
Yeah.
it out for sure. That's amazing. And obviously, you have a good relationship with Dan Green, and I've seen in your social media you have such a good relationship with so many different voice actors. Are there any particular voice actors you're really close with and you bounce
I
ideas
thought you were
off
going to say, are
of?
there any that you really can't
Yeah,
stand?
who do you
That would be a
hate?
better question.
Who do you
That's
hate?
right. Yes.
Jason
um,
Page.
that
I'm joking.
that's no, no. He's been a good sport. Like I do Digimon, Pokemon sing off competitions whenever I
Yeah.
see him, and they tend to go viral on the social medias. It's been one of the great things about doing the Comic Con circuit in this past year when I've really gotten serious about it is I get to reconnect with all these voice actors that I haven't seen since I left LA. So I
Hmm.
really like Tom Fawn and his wife Dorothy. Tom's the voice of Agumon.
Hmm.
Pepper breath in Digimon because he's just a laugh riot.
Hmm.
And I I had a great time hanging out with Johnny Young Bosch a couple of weeks ago. He and I most of the things that I'm known for either he was the sidekick to me or I was a sidekick to him. You know, we were on so many things, and he's a really nice, talented guy. Most voice actors are really nice, talented people. I've found without the big egos because we're not on camera ultimately. Yeah.
Very true. You don't have to wear the makeup when you record as much. I'm sure some people do.
We don't
Um,
really have the luxury of having the big ego because
mm,
we're like by design anonymous, right?
mhm.
A lot of voice actors don't even want to be on camera, which
Very
I find
true.
strange.
But you've got these incredible talents. I've spoken to some really, really cool people, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun, and everyone's so talented. And you're right. That a lot of people don't necessarily want to be out there in the spotlight. Um, so would you
What's
mind?
wrong with those people?
I know what is wrong with. They
Yeah.
need to really, wake up to reality. Do you mind saying, "Hi, I'm Joshua Seth, and welcome to the Anime Dad podcast" for us, and then maybe you could say it in a couple of your character voices, if that's okay.
I will not say, "Hi, I'm Joshua Seth, and welcome to the Anime Dad podcast." Oh no, I just did. Yeah. There you go. My character voices sound like me, though. Basically,
They
I
do.
always, I, I always felt like it's better to focus on the acting than the sound. So
Mm,
I can do many different voices. Welcome to the Anime Dad podcast. This is Joshua Seth. Right, but then all your energy is going into maintaining this silly voice or whatever it is. And I've always been a fan of a more naturalistic style of voice acting where the acting is the predominant part.
yeah,
And
very true.
luckily, I have a kind of unusual, recognizable voice to go along with that. But most of what I've done is just my voice pitched up a little bit for Digimon or something, or pitched down a little bit, like this if I'm gonna play somebody a little more mature.
Mm.
Or in the
And
more recent Digimon movies, just flat, just exact because he's an adult now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're very, very lucky because your voice is cool. No matter what you what you do.
thanks.
We got a couple of fan questions. So what was your favorite part? I mean, obviously Digimon. I've got a lot of Digimon questions, but I'll just give you a couple. What was your favorite part, or one of your favorite things about voice acting in Digimon?
When Digimon the movie came out,
Mm,
that was the moment where I think we all realized that we were a part of a cultural phenomenon because you got to realize a lot of season 1 that we voiced before it went to air or even when it did go to air there wasn't social media for us to get that instantaneous dopamine hit from the fans like you get now when you could, hey, here's a role announcement, here's the thing that just came out. We were operating in a vacuum and recording in soundproof booths in secure buildings around LA and nobody knew who we were or what we were doing really. And then it was the number one animated show on Saturday morning TV that first year, and then very quickly it was on like 7 days a week. And then
mm,
but we still didn't have any direct interaction with fans or any any sense beyond the numbers. We could see the numbers that it was doing, but that was just kind of dry. But then when the movie came out, they had a proper premiere at Fox at 20, well, back then it was 20th Century Fox, and they sent me a limo and there was a red carpet and I got interviewed by Entertainment Tonight and all the TV shows and things. And there's celebrities there with their kids in attendance. The only two times I've done that is for the Digimon the movie premiere and for the SpongeBob movie that I had a small part in.
Hmm.
And I played the voice of the king's crown polisher, who's always getting bonked on the head by Princess Mindy and her dad, the king. And uh, and like, like all of a sudden, in one night, like the whole thing we've been working on for like a year just suddenly became real. And then seeing it on the big screen and being a part of an audience, having a reaction. I mean, to go from just recording alone in a soundproof booth with a director on the other side and a script and nothing basically, to that, it was mind-blowingly awesome.
Oh, incredible, incredible. And do you have a favorite part of Digimon that you voice? I mean, there's so many, I'm sure, but do you have something that comes to mind that you really enjoyed voicing in the series?
I really liked how Last Evolution Kazuna came out, the last movie that we did in 2020, which a lot of fans have not seen because we missed the theatrical window because everything was closed at the beginning of the pandemic in the spring of 2020 when it came out. It went straight to Apple TV and Amazon, although it was a top 10 movie in all categories when it came out. Uh, if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. I think it's the best movie that we made since the original one. And it makes everybody cry. So the fact that we were able to accomplish that with an anime, like I feel like, we did our job. Yeah, that's
Re-
that. And the other thing is the first scene in the first episode of the first season of the TV show, when Tai is sitting in a tree and in just a few minutes sets up an entire world and a whole cast of characters with that monologue that I do.
Hmm.
Like, just in terms of storytelling, it's so efficient and it's so forward thinking because this is like 25 years ago when this was written, and they're already talking about essentially cloud computing, climate change, and the disruption to work-life balance that is created by being in the clouds, in the internet, which is the digital world all the time, and how that disruptive that is to actual reality. I mean, that's the premise, and it's all laid out in just one monologue at the beginning of the first scene of the first episode.
That's true. That's true. Very, very special monologue as well. Um, okay, well, maybe we could finish off by um, could you do a little bit of a motivational, just a quick motivational speech um, in Ty's voice for all your fans out there? A quick motivational speech as Ty.
Hey, everybody, it's your good friend Ty from Digimon saying, go outside and stop watching so much anime. It's, it's important to actually live your life and talk face to face with other humans and like use your legs if you've got them. Walk around, see the sun. I feel, I feel like these last few years we just live life in front of screens. I've got my own kids and they do the same thing. I'm like, go outside. How's that for motivational?
I'm actually gonna get it's
Yes.
cold out there.
And
It's rainy. I'm gonna get outside after this. After hearing that.
yeah, and because this is a podcast, you can still listen to it. And when you're done, you can listen to my podcast,
Heck
which
yeah!
I've been having a blast doing as well, which I should give a plug for.
Please do.
Voiceover Champions. Yeah, Voiceover Champions. And I, rec- I I do this, except I'm on the other side interviewing other voice actors, and it's also been a great way to get to connect with people that I don't see on the Comic Con circuit. Like you get to know us as real people, and not
Heck yeah.
just a disembodied voice.
And I mean, listening,
Available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
yeah, and listening to your voice. I mean, I could do it all the time. So that's great. I'm gonna lose all my followers now because yours is much
No,
better than
no,
mine.
it's value added.
I'm just joking.
It's
Yeah, there's so much
while you're doing something like physical,
exercising.
walking around, living your life. Yes.
No, that's great, Joshua. And just to end it all, thank you for jumping on the podcast. You have so many fans here in New Zealand. I can't tell you how many messages I got from people
Really?
when I chucked it out there.
Yeah.
And I live in a little small town in, like I said, and even a bunch of different people that I didn't expect to message to saying we love him. Please say hi from New Zealand. So if you're ever in town,
I do really love New Zealand. I absolutely will come back at
please
some
do.
point. It's a
Please
very
do.
special place, and like I've been to over 40 countries. I've been lucky enough between Comic Cons and touring with the live show, and like New Zealand is very top of the list in terms of like a place like I'd actually want to live.
Mm.
It's like it's just got kind of everything in a small package, like me. Yeah, everything in a small package. Yeah.
well,
So
well, if you ever decide to come here, I've got a bunker, and you can just jump in there,
okay,
and
a bunker, yeah,
yeah,
like end of the world kind of thing,
yeah, into the world
underground.
bunker,
Yeah,
and it's with
you got
it's with
got a
a
lot
few,
of canned food.
yeah, and a few of the hobbits are down there with
Yeah.
Gandalf,
Ooh,
and
ooh! I gotta mention this
yeah,
New
yeah, yeah.
Zealand story before we start to wrap up. So, I actually was invited to have a private tour of Peter Jackson's Weta workshop the last time I was there.
Ooh.
So there were some fans that actually work at it that knew I was in town, and I'm like, I gotta fly out, and they said, well, get up early and we'll bring you through. And I got to see everything. I like it was astounding the level of artistry and craftsmanship that they had there. And I wasn't allowed to bring my phone in. Like you had to put it in a basket before you brought it in. There's no
Wow.
recording of anything. It was top secret. And I saw how they made masks and swords and armor and body uh, uh, armor and
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, like models, all kinds of
Cool.
stuff like this. Yeah, it was really awesome.
Oh, that would be incredible. I haven't done that yet. But are you a Lord of the Rings fan? Final question.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those movies came out great. I've read all those books out loud. For anybody that wants to be a voice actor, I always say number one thing other than singing that you can do is read out loud. I've read all the Harry Potter books out loud, doing all the voices twice actually, once when they came out and once for my kids, and read
Mhm.
all the Lord of the Rings books and The Hobbit out loud because you get used to the sound of your voice. You get used to bringing life to words on the page uh, so that it's comfortable for you to articulate the printed word. This stuff is very fundamental to voice acting, and being able to practice it in that way is accessible to anyone. But you do have to learn to read first. That's
That's the
that's
hardest
really
part. That's the
important.
hardest
Yeah,
part.
that's the hardest part is the learning to read. So if you've done that already, you're on your way.
I'll start learning to read after this. After this.
Okay. All right.
No,
Never
thank you.
too late.
No, thank you
Or
so
young.
much, Josh. You're incredible. We love you, and you're so talented. And I really, really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And yeah, have a fantastic evening. And I'll check out some teasers, and the full podcast will be released next week. So
Nice.
feel free to
Well,
share it around.
tag me and I'll follow you, and you guys follow me on the socials because I'm more and more active there on
You're
all.
very
I don't
active.
have MySpace, but I'm on pretty much everything else. Yeah, all the socials.
All right, Josh. Well, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.